Are the biblical Magi, the three wise men, mentioned anywhere in the Hebrew Scriptures? Is that concept anyway like connected to Judaism?
No, no. No, let me just make it clear. Actually, as it turns out, the Magi you find in it's completely unique to Matthew's infancy narrative, which is very different than the only other infancy narrative found in the book of Luke. When I say different, I mean different. It's beyond the scope of this question. As it turns out, it doesn't say anywhere in Matthew, even in Matthew, that there are three Magi. There's no number given for them, but this is nowhere found in the Torah. The King James renders it as wise men. The word is a Latin derivative, and the Latin derivative is really a Greek derivative, but the Greek actually is not where it starts. That word actually you could trace back to a Persian word that refers to the Zoroastrian, which is a ancient Persian religion, and how they refer to their priestly caste. This comes from the world of idolatry. This does not come from Mount Sinai. It's nowhere found in the Torah. But the key is what we encounter in Matthew is an infancy narrative where these people are coming from the east, presumably from, well, what is modern day Iran would definitely be the east. The idea is that they're following a star, and incidentally, the Zoroastrian priests were noted for their ability to read the stars and to be able to perform magic and perform rituals based on the reading of the stars. So that's where Matthew is dipping into. He's not dipping into anything holy. And the key, the rub of these individuals is they're not Jewish. And they're following a star that's apparently moving slow enough for them to follow. It's a kind of magic star, and the star is bringing them to Jerusalem, to Herod's palace, which I always found interesting, because if you looked at a starry night and you saw a star, you'd ask yourself, what house is that star over? But what the author of Matthew has in mind is some magical star. The wise men, or the Magi, ask Herod, where is the Messiah supposed to be born? Where does the Messiah come from? Herod, of course, doesn't know, but he knows that his scribes are aware of this. And that's when we get to famously Matthew chapter 2, verse 6, which is where they are informed by the scribes, by the Jews, the knowledgeable Jews, that in fact the Messiah is to be born in Bethlehem. And a passage from Micah 5:1 in the Christian Bible 5:2 is quoted. And I use the word quoted in quotation marks, italicized with neon lights, because the text has been shattered, been ripped to pieces. Matthew misquotes, as he does in all of his fulfillment citations, the original passage, and he shaves off the end of the verse. It's beyond the scope of this show to go into that. It's a different show on a different question, but the key is the text was molested. There's no other way to describe it. But the key is that Matthew wants to have Jesus born in Bethlehem. And the reason for it is not because it says that in Micah, as a Christian would be taught, but because David himself was from Bethlehem, and he and Luke both wanted Jesus to be born in the city of David, the city where David was born. They each would use a different plot device to make that happen, and a completely contradictory plot device. The key is that they then head off following the star to Bethlehem, and the star then hovers over the home of the newborn baby Jesus. Matthew's infancy narrative doesn't include a barn, doesn't include a manger, because Matthew's infancy narrative has Joseph and Mary come from Bethlehem. So it's over the home of Jesus. And the key point is that that's when they visit Jesus, but they are alerted by an angel not to go back to the east after bringing gifts to the child and basically worshiping the child. They're told not to use the same route that they came, but to go another way, because Herod is going to kill the child. And they go back through another route and they're gone. They disappear from the story. They're off the stage of Matthew's theater. The question, of course, is, I just want to add this in here, is why does Matthew have the Magi go to Herod's palace? What does that add to the story? It means, if the star is a magic star, that knew where Jesus' home was. And clearly, as Matthew tells the story, the star does know, because all they're told is the city that Jesus is born in, the Messiah is born in. They're not told which street he lives on, what his house number is, so why stop off at Herod's palace? And the answer is, this is already a setup. The setup is, it's a contrast already between the Jew and the Gentile in the Christian Bible. If you want to know why Christians hated the Jews, they weren't crazy. The New Testament poisoned their minds, and this is already set up in the infancy. Look at the contrast between how the Jews, or the representative of the Jews, deal with Jesus, and how Gentiles deal with Jesus. Whereas the Gentiles, these Magi, whoever they are, these clearly non-Jews, when they discover the Messiah, the infant Messiah, they worship him and bring gifts and adore him. The representative of the Jews, Herod, wants to kill him. That's the key. That's the setup. And this is the setup for the crucifixion, because only in Matthew's passion narrative, now we're moving 26 chapters later, only in Matthew's passion narrative are we introduced to Pontius Pilate's wife, who has a dream and discovers that Jesus is completely innocent of any charges brought against him. Pontius Pilate and his wife stand squarely against the hordes of Jews who are also again trying to kill Jesus. So I want to take this question further. So the term Magi, its derivative, literally is the word structure actually is Persian, then Greek, then Latin. Okay, that is not just about the word. It's the story. Whole story is completely of pagan origin. It's really a Persian origin that you would have such people. They were very important in the Zoroastrian world, and they would emerge as very important in Greco-Roman thinking as a result. But it was borrowed, not invented in the Greco-Roman world. But the key point is they are the setup, because they're the innocent Gentiles who ultimately come down on the side of Jesus, just like later on Pontius Pilate and his wife, the innocent Gentiles, come down on the side of Jesus, whereas the hordes of angry, Christ-killing, God-killing Jews are calling for the death of Jesus and saying these toxic words, for which the Jews will pay a very heavy price for. We take his death upon us and our children. Only found in the book of Matthew. So what I'm showing is not just what the word is and its origins are. It has nothing to do with the Torah. There's nothing sacred about it, because it doesn't come again from Mount Sinai or Jerusalem. It comes from Persia. It comes from modern day Iran, Zoroastrianism, which is a very significant dualistic religion that still exists, but it has nothing to do with Judaism.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה